Thanks for listening to part 2 of my interview with Karin Straehl on the Starter Log Off the Cuff podcast. Really quick, if you're jumping into this part without listening to part 1, probably makes sense to go back and listen to part 1 before you jump right into this. So this is the second part of my interview with Karin Straehl. She invited me over to her home and we talked about a lot of different things. So you're going to hear another segment in this part and you're going to hear some more deep introspection and some conversation that supercharges and fuels your mind as well. So let's jump right into part 2. Thank you for being here. Great. So this is really good stuff. Let's. I think let's just talk about some good habits, bad habits that I think you had a really good note on that. I can open up to just questions that you want to ask me, and then we can probably end with another segment. And then does that work? That's kind of the little agenda I just laid out there. So is there anything specific? I think you had a note down, but anything specifically about a bad habit that you picked up that you recently conquered, which is hard to do, very hard to do, or like a good habit that you picked up and it's just been like your day has become so much more efficient and you're killing it because of this one keystone habit, which is something I learned in the book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, I believe. It's the one keystone habit that starts a chain reaction of just all good things in your life. So someone's keystone habit could be getting up at 6 and having a breakfast, like something similar like that, and then like your entire day is just better. I'll let you go with your notes, but anything like that.
Yeah, so I would say, and I know that we're talking about the year stuff again, but 2016 was just obviously a big year for me from like a just self-reflecting, realizing a lot of things about myself. Mm-hmm. And in that process of trying to really understand like, okay, who am I at my core? You know, what do I struggle with? What do I need help with? I realized, that social media and all of that other stuff that I'm still active on. I haven't like deleted my accounts or anything. I haven't gone to that extreme. But it was causing me to like alienate myself from actually forming like personal human relationships with people.
Wow. That's interesting. I'm interested.
Yeah. I think, just being able to scroll through people's updates and, being able to chat people and like Instagram photos and stuff, that was like replacing my ability to actually connect with people on a human level.
Okay.
And it's really forced me to kind of self-reflect like, okay, I need to start setting boundaries for myself so that I'm not losing skills, because communication and like being able to connect with people and relate with them and network, that's a skill. And if you don't do it, it goes stale. You lose it. And
sure.
You literally find yourself in like
sure.
the most awkward social situations. And I remember I used to like go to networking events because I thought they were fun, and like you could not you could not pay me to go to one right now because it's overwhelming. And I think it's because I need to build up that skill set again. I think a lot of people are in that place too.
Just the natural starting of a conversation, right? Okay.
Literally.
Okay.
Just being like, so, and I would always find myself like talking about like the weather, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm just so stale.
It's such a fallback.
Yeah, it was just
weather.
Horrible. So I realized, one, I want to like stop, leaning on social media as a replacement for actually making meaningful relationships. And so by doing that, I set boundaries, and
cool.
One of those boundaries was, from a work standpoint, absolutely no cell phones allowed in any meetings. So I don't bring my cell phone to any meetings.
I love it.
And my team doesn't anymore.
People should do that more.
Yeah, and I think, I watched some, viral video, and I'm almost positive you've probably seen it, but Simon Sinek, who's...
The millennial one?
Yes, and I've also read one of his books, which is Leaders Eat Last. He's just obviously a great thought leader, but...
I love him.
Yeah, he was just like, when you're starting a meeting and you put your phone, even if it's face down on a table, what you're communicating to everyone else in the room is that you're not that important. I might have something else better to do. I'm going to wait, and it's just, and it's a constant distraction. If I have my phone by me and I'm like working from home, I don't even realize it, and I'm like on my phone scrolling through Instagram. I'm like, how did I didn't even like.
Yeah, right.
It's not like I'm not doing it intentionally. It just happens, and I'm like.
Yep. And then you snap almost out of that trance. You're like, where did the last 10 minutes go?
Right. But it's like it really made it hard for me to focus on work, and it made it hard for me to walk out of meetings being like, all right, so what did we just actually talk about? And what are my action items? Did I actually learn anything? And I looked down at my notes and I'm like, these are horrible. They don't tell me anything. Like, so I was just like, okay, this just has to stop.
Right.
And it's a big thing of, I know Melissa at Nations and you guys talked about this. It's just respect, it's respecting people's time and them taking the time out of their day and their lives to sit down at this table and communicate with you and collaborate on something. And you can't do that when you have your phone beeping and buzzing and
Correct.
Or whatever. So
Correct.
That is a hard rule that I implemented for my team.
I love it.
And my husband and I have the same rule for dinner.
Great rule.
When we eat, no cell phones. And honestly, and he also, Simon, he talks about, everyone's like, no, like I need my phone by me at night because it's my alarm clock. And he's like, I'll buy you an alarm clock. It's $8. Like,
yeah.
I'll get my phone. Because, he said, if you're waking up in the morning and the first thing you do is pick up your phone and check it instead of turning over and saying good morning to your husband or wife, you have a problem. And it's like, I was absolutely doing that.
100%. I've done it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so that's just a goal that we've made for ourselves. It's like, greet each other in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, we are humans in a relationship together. We live in this house under the same roof. And, the relationship that, whatever you spend the most time doing, that's your priority. And if I'm choosing to check my email and Instagram and Facebook before I say hello to my husband, like, those aren't priorities that sit well with me personally. And so I just changed it. And I love it. Yeah. It's made a really big difference.
That's a great, so many people I'm sure so many people who will listen to this can relate to that. So you're going to change people's habits with that. Honestly, because it's a really good one. It's a really good one. It's a real thing.
It's something so simple, and it sounds easy, and it's not. It's really hard to do because you literally don't realize how much you use it until.
That's true. There's so many tools on there. Alarm clock, a flashlight. Mm-hmm. I used it to order an Uber. I use it to just go find out where I'm going. There's maps on there. It has so many functionalities that you become attached to it, but you don't need to be. Because people lived in the world without it before, right?
Right, but I was one of them. I didn't have a cell phone until I was 16.
Neither did I. Right.
So it's like, what did I do? I wrote my friends letters. Like I called them and asked permission from their parents if I could talk to them.
Or come over, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's possible, and that's when I had the strongest relationships. It's like, you think about it. So when you limited your ability to zone out and use all of these convenient technology things, that's when you formed really meaningful relationships, I feel.
And that's honestly what I love sitting down and talking to you about and doing this podcast. You have notes on your phone, which is fine, but I know you haven't checked anything but the notes, and mine has not left that spot. And we're just sitting down and talking about life. So it's really cool to do that. It just doesn't happen enough anymore. It's funny. It's funny too because you and I I'm a little bit younger than you, but we had that. We were still growing up without cell phones. My first cell phone was the Nokia with the snake, and it was so I think we maybe my age. Or no, actually, some people probably younger than me. But I don't know when was the first kind of wave that started where kids got iPhones, started getting iPhones. But we weren't a part of that.
Pagers, that was the really cool.
Oh, I never had a pager. I never had a pagers. No, I was post pagers, but pre iPhones. My childhood, so I was right in that gap.
I saw all of that. It was not pretty.
Yeah, you've seen the evolution.
Yeah, and having to call your parents.
Yes.
Oh,
To touch on some things, I've downloaded an app on my computer called Self Control. So that's helped me a lot just during my workday because people take 10-minute breaks or 5-minute breaks to kind of mentally, but then you don't want those to turn into something crazy or scrolling on Facebook in the middle of a workday. So the Self Control app, it's all one word, Self Control, and you put website URLs into a blacklist, and then you click start, and for the amount of time you want it to be, you cannot access those websites.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so use that on my computer at work. I have a Mac for work, so I'm not sure the capabilities, or like I'm not sure what computer you use, but that's something that I've used. That's great. I just started deleting apps off my phone. Like I have a group chat. I use GroupMe. I swear by GroupMe. It's my favorite group chat app by far. Had to delete it off my phone. I was in it too much. There are some necessary evils. Like I use Facebook to market. I use Twitter to market. But yeah. So those are some of the things I do. But your versions sound great as well.
Yeah, I mean, social media is great, and like I will keep referring to Simon because he's amazing. But it's like any addiction. You know, like social media and like seeing people like your post and engage with you and like your picture and comment on it creates endorphins and you know, the chemical, I forgot what it is.
No, I think that's right.
Yeah, I mean it's an addictive behavior. So he's like, why do people drink too much? Why do people gamble? Why are people addicted? Is because they're addicted to that feeling and that sensation. And it's the same thing. A little bit of alcohol is fine. You know, playing a game of poker here and there is fine. Going on Facebook to connect with people that you don't live close to, or like you would never call, but like still want to value that relationship in some way. It's a great tool for that.
Yep.
But when you overdo it and it's not an intentional habit anymore. It's something that's out of your control and it's consuming and taking away from other areas of your life.
Yes.
That's when it's bad. It's just about knowing how to use it and evaluating what's healthy for you. And if you have an inkling that it's not healthy, it's not healthy. Like, you need to reassess.
Right. And I wrote an article about this on thestartalog.com. I labeled it "Who's to Blame?" And some people will blame technology companies and companies for creating these awesome tools for us, and some people will say that, you know, they've empowered us to be addicted to these things. But I disagree with that. I think 100% what you're saying, like, it's on the person themselves. Like, I just don't think our people were ready for all this type of, I guess, access. But that's not the company's fault for creating these, because there's a lot of positives in all of these things. But it's a tool they created and we abuse it. Like, that is on the person's individual, like, habits and addictions and themselves. So that's what the article explains about. And I can put it in the show notes, but it's you need to be in control of that. You need to take control of it. So
yeah, and it's the accountability thing again with customers and you know, our professional, you know, responsibilities and our customers. There is accountability on both sides. It's like you can't point fingers at everybody.
It's true. Look yourself in the mirror and say things you did wrong, because you did some things wrong today. Like, nobody's perfect, and it's fine. No one's going to judge you for it.
Yeah.
It's cool. So that's great. Let's go into why is that a thing really quick. Actually, before that, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask me? I want to open up the floor. I'm grilling you, and you're doing a fantastic job. And I want just to be fair, in the fairness of client success. You know, you're giving, so I want to give back to the pot. So do you have any questions for me, for the Startalog, about the Startalog? Like, grill me if you need to, want to, etc. And it's fine. We can break this up into like multiple segments. So let's not worry about time here.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we've touched base on all of the things that you're doing differently in your personal life. And I think a big part of what you're doing, actually, now that I'm looking at it, is setting boundaries for yourself and choosing to allocate certain amounts of your time to things that are meaningful to you and give back to your quality of life, and where you felt like you were almost, you know, a victim before and just kind of going with the flow, but now you're taking control of that and really choosing, you know, where you want to dedicate your time. And so I think it's super exciting. I guess I would ask, when was the point that you realized that you wanted to make a change? Like, what pushed you to that point?
This is a great question, and on my directionless bike ride over to this part of Chicago, it's so big. The city is so big. There's so many neighborhoods. It's insane. How do people do it? Uber's help, but. Yes, I was thinking about asking this to someone that I'm doing a podcast with tomorrow, for the Startalog. Yeah. So this is a fantastic question. So to answer your question, I think that I don't know the exact time. I really don't know the exact time. I know it was within the past 2.5 years. And I was living at my place in Lincoln Park, which you've been to. We had that wine night, right?
Yeah.
You were there for that?
I
The wine night?
Yeah.
That was a terrible night. Fun, but oh my god, that hangover was just that might have been the time. That might let's say that's the time. Let's just say that's the time. But I think inherently in my life, I am an easygoing person, like inherently, and it's been good, but mostly bad. And the reason why it's been bad is because I've always gone with the flow and just accepted things if they weren't right and said, suck it up in a way, and like let's just do this. And that was the same with my main group of friends. I love my main group of friends, but we were like, our vice and our reputation in high school was that we drank all the time. Like every weekend in high school, Friday, Saturday, like that was the crew that was drinking, and I was part of that. And that was just always the way I knew, and I just kind of got like caught in that current, I guess you could say. And then college was fine. And I started branching out a little bit and like doing my own things. Like I rushed a house when other of my friends didn't, and I was like trying new different things. I was much more active and like just involved than and this is no offense to them, but then some of the friends I like came into Illinois State with from high school. And so that was like almost me kind of breaking free. And then like after college, and the hangovers got worse. So that was just like, why am I doing this? But really, I don't know the exact time. I wish I could give you that answer, but I know that it just hit me in the face. And I said, like, I'm just going to like kind of screw everybody, and I'm just going to be the person I want to be. And I don't know. I think it just came from consistently kind of being a sheep, really, just like following the herd. And so many times I'd have the realization the next day, like, why did I do that? And it was enough. I guess I got hit in the face enough with that enough times where I finally like punched back. And that's kind of the person I am. Like, I treat people with respect, and there's been times where people have disrespected me, and I've just kind of taken it. And I guess that just happened enough. And I realized it after the fact enough times that I just said, like, screw it in a way. Like, I'm gonna swing back at you, and it's in a not in a literal sense. And it's really shown. 2016 was like the year of me in being an individual. Like I found the niche I want to pursue in, and I found the things I want to spend time to. And I'm cutting the waste. I'm like cutting the excess fat, like day by day, little by little, and 2017 is like I'm convinced it's gonna be my year, like just with the leap I'm making. And so if I had to like give you a range, it'd probably be between like 2015 and 2016, maybe 2014 and 2016, somewhere in that range. And I just said enough is enough. Like I don't know, maybe I just had to fall down that many times to really like say, okay, I'm gonna not go down this path anymore, not fall down this path. I'm going to go over here to this one. Mm-hmm. And I got flack for it, like for sure. Like I was always going out and always being social. And Melissa Nations and I have talked about this honestly too. And I've got flack for it at first. Like I wasn't spending multiple weekends with the same group of friends, and they were like pissed at me, but I was just like, screw you. I kind of had to just, I don't know what it was. It's hard to explain though. So you're stumping me in a little bit of sense, but, I kind of just had to fight back fight back and like free myself from that mold that other people wanted me to be in, that current I was stuck in. And so now I'm on my own path. So yeah, I was disappointed in myself enough times to the fact that I finally made a change. So maybe it just took that many times for me to do it. Yeah.
And I mean, one, I give you props for doing that because I think the wisest person ever, Dumbledore.
Oh, yes.
From Harry Potter, because I can't not have a conversation about Harry Potter. It's like it takes a lot of courage to stand up to your enemies, but more courage to stand up to your friends.
Yeah,
and
true.
I think what you're describing is exactly what I've definitely gone through that phase, and some people might just call it growing up because there's a reason why people don't have as many friends when they're older. Not only because they don't have as much time to hang out and just do fun things, but you have to start being more intentional about your time and your energy. And when there's only so many hours in a day and you're feeling voids in other areas, you have to cut off the excess fat in order to gain that, to put into something that means something to you.
Yeah.
And that transition is very, very hard. I've definitely distanced myself from a number of people, not because they're bad people, but they're at a different phase in their life.
Yes.
And I'm moving into a new part in my life, especially with this baby coming. And
that's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah. It's not that it's anything. I'm not judging you or your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm just personally moving on to another, point in life, and it requires me, unfortunately, to scale back on the going out and the being hungover for 3 days because I can't get anything done.
Right.
I think it's good, and I think that ties into one of my biggest lessons from 2016 was that happiness is a choice. It's not a result of your circumstances. It's you taking control of your life and choosing what you put your energy into. And it's the people that feel like they don't have that control that usually are the unhappiest.
Yes.
So yeah, props to you for making that.
Thank you. You're hitting a lot of good points. You were going to say, you said something you said I will say for a second, and you were going to say something, so I didn't want to cut you off. Did you have another point that you wanted to make? Maybe not.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Dumbledore threw me off.
I've never, I don't think anyone on the podcast has quoted a fictional character thus far, so you might be.
He's real.
Okay.
He's real.
Okay. He might be real. But that's great. No, I feel like a lot of your stuff, a lot of the stuff you're saying is so true, and I agree with it so much, and could be like quote material. Like a lot of happiness is a choice. It's true. Like you're saying, that's fine. Go do you. But I just want to get to this level up here. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to start climbing. And
your definition of happiness will change as you move through life.
100%.
So it's like you have to change your life and what you do to continue to reach that goal. So
yeah, that's great. So let's do Why Is That a Thing really quick. Mine's really, really short. So Why Is That a Thing is a segment created by Kyle Murray. You know Kyle Murray, right? Yes. Okay. So just because I've been at this company for too long, I don't know when, who knows who, and when people have interacted and have not. So that's great. So Kyle Murray, and we can talk more about him. He's living his life. We can talk about that after the podcast. He's doing a great job. He started this because he just thinks about things in a different way. Like some things that seem normal or maybe are his pet peeves. He asks himself why do people do that? Why do people get into these bad habits? And it doesn't have to be a habit, but it could just be something random. So my Why Is That a Thing is, and this was touched on briefly in the podcast prior with my friend Timmy Mastrino. Why when people look at mountains, do they start to reflect on life? Isn't that that's interesting? People always say I was looking at this mountain range and it was just so inspiring and reflecting and my question is, why is that a thing? And do you know? And do you have an inkling?
I do actually.
Okay.
And I am definitely one of those people that every time I see a mountain, I'm like, I question life and where I'm
right.
My husband's from Switzerland, so we go to Switzerland every year to visit his family, and they have crazy beautiful
once a year.
Yeah, we try to do at least once a year.
That's great. Yeah.
But yeah, the first time I was there, I was just like, holy crap! It's just beautiful. But I think part of it is it reminds you that there's so many things out there that are bigger than yourself. It reminds you that you're small in comparison to the bigger thing that this planet is, that our existence is, and it kind of puts you in your place, and it makes you question,
that's cool. I like that perspective. Yeah.
What am I doing here? How am I going to make an impact? And you can cut this out if you want, but Simon also said another amazing thing, where he's so many millennials, they look at a mountain and they see the goal, and they interviewed a bunch of people, and they're like, what is your number one goal out of getting this job or working at this company? And they're like, I want to make an impact. He's like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
You've been here for 3 months. How are you going to make an impact in 3 months? And they measure their worth and their value on ability to hit this peak at the top of a mountain. But they don't realize that you have to journey up that mountain to hit that peak. And so they're missing the opportunity to really learn stuff throughout the journey of getting there. They're forgetting the fact that it takes time to get to that point. And, you know, and I think it kind of got lost, you know, with this whole Silicon Valley push and startups and everyone trying to be young companies and cool and and beers and whatever. You forget that wisdom and experience and years gives you something that the happy hours and the cool relationships and stuff can't give you.
Yeah.
It's about experience and it's about tenure and it's about, you know, taking that journey and not just getting immediate gratification. That stuff takes work. And so I think from a mountain standpoint, it's like, I don't know, you just see how big it is and it makes you remember how small you are.
Wow, I love that answer. We've written about Simon Sinek, so I'll make sure to send you that article. And we talked about the Millennium video probably when this goes up, probably 2 podcasts ago. Okay. And my friend Kevin, who is the other half of the starter log, or 1/3 if you include Kyle. And he touches on the video a lot. So it's great that you are. I think that's awesome. I think that if a millennial is listening out there and they get this question, your answer should be, I want to learn and grow and help people on like a daily basis. That would probably be the perfect answer to that interview question, right? Instead of making an impact. Yeah. So that signifies the journey. So that's great. I would say that my view would be that you're looking at something that is usually beautiful, and you then because you say, oh wow, this is beautiful, then it reminds you of probably something in your life that is, and maybe that's like a relationship, and then you kind of just you're more grateful for like something that's good in your life right now. So that's a perspective as well too. But yours was awesome. Great. So your why is that a thing? Do you have one?
I mean, I do.
Okay.
I think it ties into a lot of what we've already been talking about, and I'm sure everyone has the same question, but I don't understand why people get super like uber confident on social. So they'll say things on social media, or they'll like post things or comment they would never be caught dead like actually saying those things to a person to their face.
Yes.
It's just crazy to me, and it really, I think social media honestly is creating this like split personality between a lot of people. Where you have this like uber confident person who's like, I'm gonna say how it is, and even cruel to some points.
Right.
But then like you ask them face to face, you meet them face to face, and it's like that just totally is not a reflection of who you really are when it comes down to interaction. So again, human interaction's important because it makes you not be as big of an asshole and,
as your Facebook post.
Right, as you would like be on social. So that just annoys me because like I know people personally, and then I see them say things on social, I see them comment, and I'm like, what? Like you would never say that to like that person.
I think if you're asking the question, why is that a thing? My answer would just be that people, that part of them, or maybe in their essence, in their core, like they're a coward. That would be my answer. Like that is a little harsh, but but that is a little harsh. But if you're making those judgments, if you're being very judgmental on social, derogatory, getting into just arguments, not being respectful, and then when it comes to time to say it to someone's face and you don't, I would say that's like red flag number 1 that you're a coward.
Right.
So
I agree.
But it's like why do people do it? They shouldn't. I think that's a good one. Yes. Great. Anything else on your mind before we sign off here?
I guess I would say one thing. So I'm part of like a group that meets every couple weeks from the church that I go to, and I sit on the advisory council. And so what we try to do in these like bi-weekly conversations is just challenge each other with questions. And one question that came up recently that I thought kind of made me self-reflect was, what do you consider like your, like some people say God-given gift, other people say natural born skill or talent, but what would you say your God-given gift is?
Oh man, that's a great one. You are killing it right now. Some things that just like are natural, right? That are just like, okay, I have a couple. I don't want to sound braggadocious. I think I am stupidly optimistic sometimes, but I think that's a strength. almost to the point where like I want to do too much, and then like my friend Frank Routini, who I'm recording with tomorrow, we're working on a project together, and he is the equal counterbalance. Not that he's not optimistic, but he like brings me back down to earth.
Yeah.
So my head's in the clouds, and I want to do all these crazy things and conquer the world, and he's like, well, let's do this first, and he like pulls me off of that cloud a little bit, but it's great. That's how we complement each other. So I'm stupidly optimistic. I think that, and I'm stupidly optimistic that and this has probably hurt me in the past, but I'm very, what do I want to say? I guess until you wrong me or something, I think that everyone is like genuinely good from the start. You know, like I just want it to be that way, but then some people aren't, which is fine. It's not fine, but it happens. And then I think that I just inherently like care. I just care, like, and maybe too much to the point where like, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like some people who may have been burning me in the past, like I cared too much and I stuck around too long because I inherently just care and I want people to be good. And like it's one of the things I've learned in that 2014 and 2016 year span, that the people that aren't like inherently good, you're not, don't even waste your time changing them. Like maybe there are some people you can teach a lesson to, but there's just going to be bad people, and they're part of the fat, right? So cut off that excess fat and just continue on the journey without them. So I would say optimism, just inherent optimism. I would say that I just want people to be inherently good. So I guess I'm naive. That's a good word. I'm like naive to that, or I have been naive to that. Like, wake up, not everyone's going to be that way. And then, I just care a lot. Like, not about giant spiders without glass being on the wall. I don't care about those things, but I just inherently care. Like, I want my effect to be on someone a good effect, even on like my enemies. Like just a respectful no to my enemies. I don't know. I care a lot about just like the legacy I leave and like things like that. So I want to ask the same question to you because that's a great question. So you have to answer as well.
So I would say that I have artistic ability. Ever since I've been a child, I just love to draw and paint and play music. And
I didn't know that about you.
Performing arts.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I was a competitive pianist from the age of 5 through I was 18. So
that is something new.
Yeah.
That I didn't know.
And so I love the arts. I think.
Okay.
That's something that I've just always had an eye for. But also, actually, I took a test, like, to figure out like what your natural talents are, what you're more drawn to naturally.
Okay. And
they're all over online, so I would encourage you to take one.
Yeah.
It just kind of formalizes the results.
Send me the one that you.
I'll send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So my top 3 like gifts were like administration, which doesn't surprise me at all.
That's why I'm surprised about the creative portion, because administration and creativity can go together, but usually don't. So continue though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I could talk for another 2 hours. But, and then it was faith. So just having like faith in things. And processes. And
right.
then the third was discernment. So being able to sense the good and bad in people.
That's
which
great.
Was really interesting to me. I was not expecting the last 2 results, but then like the more I reflected on it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I think, I guess the reason why the exercise was so meaningful to me was that when you take it and when you're taking a test to see if you're good at something, it's one thing to be like, ooh, like, yeah, I think I'm good at this and this and this because I've worked my butt off to like, improve this skill.
So you try to kind of game the system to get a result.
Right. But then if you look at it in a way that's like, what has been naturally given to me? Like, it's not something that like makes, like, I feel like if you ask someone what their skill sets are, what they're good at, they'll tell you all these things and they think that they can take credit for it. But if you ask somebody what your natural, God-given gifts are, it removes that sense of entitlement and doesn't allow you to use that to judge yourself as better as anybody else, but it's just like, okay, what am I actually just naturally good at?
Yeah.
I've been given these gifts, and
how
do I want to use them for the good?
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting, for me, it kind of ties into this whole self-reflection thing that I've been trying to do over the last, year, and also moving into this new phase in my life where I'm going to eventually be raising a child, and how do I want to do that? How do I want to communicate what I think are my best traits and what are my not so good traits, and it makes you put so many things into perspective. I'm not saying you're going to have a child anytime soon, but you will get there at some point.
Right.
And you will be like, Karen, I remember what you're talking about.
Yes. Discernment.
Yeah.
New word that I'm learning.
But I think you have discernment. The things that you were saying, just being able, wanting people to be inherently good, I think is the same thing as discernment, to be able to just have a really good judge of character.
And that goes kind of along with your number 2, which is faith, right?
Yeah. You're optimistic and you want to believe that things will work out. So I don't know. I'll send you the link to that test, but it was interesting.
Exactly, and we're similar. So I say we're similar people. That's great. And actually one of the reasons why I am dating who I'm dating right now is that she always talks about her discernment, and she can kind of sense when people have personal agendas, right, and want their own maybe selfish thing to occur. I think you're right by saying that, but I think in the past maybe too much I haven't taken the time to evaluate that person. Maybe my discernment was delayed, and then I've been getting burned. But now recently that recognition of what is this person's intentions comes up at the start, kind of beforehand. So that's really great stuff. I can't tell you how impressed I am with just everything that you said. Yes, and I had good expectations going in, but I think you blew my expectations out of the water just with your answers. This is really good stuff. So thank you for allowing me into your home. Do you have any this is shameless plug time. Let's do shameless plugs. You can just say your name if you want to connect on LinkedIn. That's fine. But anywhere that you want people to be found, or I want to know, not now, but I want to know more of the creative stuff that you have or want to work on, because I don't know any of that. So maybe, I don't know if you have a portfolio that you want to tell the people about, but this is your shameless plugs. Go now, you.
Well, I don't have any shameless plugs for my artistic side.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Maybe sometime in the future.
Okay.
I would say anybody that's listening that kind of is in the customer service, customer success realm, or if they're in the Chicago area, I'm the co-president of a group called Pulse Chicago. And
yes.
It's actually put on by a company called Gainsight.
Okay, cool.
We meet on a quarterly basis, and it's really just to kind of bounce new ideas off of each other. It usually invites, directors and VPs and C-level executives who are trying to rebuild a customer success team. It's still pretty new concept, and so I think a lot of people are sharing their stories of what worked, what didn't.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
But it's a great networking opportunity.
Cool.
We always have refreshments, whatever. I would say it's a couple hours every quarter, but you can look for the group on LinkedIn, or you can just message me, Karin Straehl, on LinkedIn.
Karin Straehl. That's STRAEHL. Did I say that right? Oh, I think the AE got me.
With an I. That's
and a K.
Yes.
Wait, it's always a K. Yeah. But me.
It's always a K.
Oh man. I was out a little bit last night, so not much. So I'm a little slow, today. KARIN, yes.
Correct. Yeah, so
Karin
I would
Straehl.
just encourage. Obviously, I'm always welcome. I'm always looking to network. I love meeting new people, but that group is great if you want to just learn more about the industry, or you're in it and want to learn more about how to, build a strong team and
customer success team. Yeah. Yes, or any team, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you are good at meeting. You like to meet new people, and you're getting better on initiating that conversation and not just talking about the
meet
weather.
You face to face and shake your hand
and ask you
ask
you personal things about your life. No,
and if I mention the weather, you can slap me.
Oh wow! Okay, that's great. No, thank you, Karin. You've been a fantastic guest. I will always encourage the listeners of the Starter Log, please contribute to this conversation. Reach out to Karin. Reach out to myself. We are on Facebook. Just search for the Starter Log, the Starter Log on Facebook. Comment about what you heard, what you liked, what you didn't like. That's fine. Read the articles that relate to what we're talking about. I'm going to put it in the show notes. We're on Twitter @_the Starter Log _. We are at www.thestarterlog.com. Yeah, and I think we're on Instagram as well too. But that's Kyle Murray runs the Instagram, and I don't really know what's going on in that area. I know a little. I know a lot about Instagram, but not exactly what we're posting. So yeah, that's where we are. And please follow us there. Please contribute to the conversation. Please reach out to Karin and say what a great job she did. So thank you. I'm going to give you a clap, Karin. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to come out. And as always, take what we have said, put it into your brain, spend some time and thought about it, work on your self-development, personal development, getting 1% better every day. And you're on the way to making an impact, right? Yes. You just got to climb that mountain. So from myself, Charlie,
and the rest of the Starter Log, we will see you soon. Take care.